edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. That's right. We never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. I know it's a little bit late, but better late than never. I am attorney Michael Eline, and I am an attorney licensed in California and Texas. I primarily practice catastrophic injury law, but I have a background in criminal defense and appellate law. I used to extern for an appellate justice, and I really love the law, and I love keeping it well, and I love holding corrupt public officials accountable, especially lawyers and judges and other people who think that they're above the law. I think that being a lawyer is a situation, it's a place of honor, and it's an office of public trust as being an officer of the court. And all too often you see, especially prosecutors and corrupt judges, letting it go to their head. And I think that we, the people, need to hold them accountable. Many of my viewers know that I support the concept of natural law, which is what our country is based upon. I'm a big fan of John Locke and Thomas Aquinas. And I think that public servants are absolutely going wild, especially in states like Arizona, and their bar associations, and many judges, I think, are exceeding their office, and they've let this power go to their heads. And I believe that a lot of them may be under the influence of cartels and corrupt individuals, billionaires, people who are flooding our country with illegal alien criminals, fentanyl, and all this other stuff. And I want it to stop. And I'm a big time fan. Hey, Ralph Bradley, good seeing you. I'm a big fan of recall elections. And as we watch this show today, you'll see why. Remember, the number one job of the President of the United States is to protect us and protect our borders. And when Joe Biden used non-governmental entities in taxpayer funding to fund these entities to go down to third world countries, even all as far as Africa, and invited them to come into our country to immediately go on SNAP benefits, get free hotels, get free phones, for the purpose of redistricting all of the red states blue using the United States Census. I knew then and there that the only way these people can win elections is through election fraud and census gerrymandering. And I knew someone had to stand up and fight back against it. So today we're going to do a show. Good seeing you, Bill of Rights and Sticky Wicked Thoughts. Today we're going to do a show about corrupt government officials, and we're going to talk a little bit about how DEI, which means didn't earn it, to us people who actually work for a living. Hey, what's up, Ralph? Not horizontal. Ralph just threw me $2. Sorry about horizontal, homie. I'll do it next time. I'll do horizontal for you next time. But stick around anyways, because it's going to be a fun show. Maybe you can expand it on your TV, brother. But everybody, Ralph Riley's my biker buddy. He's a cool dude. So hopefully you guys had an opportunity to protest and object to the recent law that I think it's Matt Walker. He's a prosecutor in Arizona. He wants to restrict people's ability to record in court. He doesn't think that average people, commoners like you and I, should have the right to audio record and simulcast that on YouTube. Somehow or another, that is going to harm the court system, according to him. And so I went on, and initially I was banned from being able to post, but after complaining and petitioning the web host, I got my comment on there. Unfortunately, there's some grammatical and typos. That was a situation where I had to do it on my phone because I just wrapped up a depot and I was not able to get back in time to my office to do a proper protest. But hopefully you guys will go check that out. I have the link on my community page under the post page. But I'm going to try to get through this show as quickly as I can. Let's talk about what's going on out there with some examples of corrupt, mainly far left commie judges and other DEI appointed officials gone wild. And we'll let you decide what you think. Here we go.
Texas, this is the Will Cain Show. Another judge, another ruling. This judge telling the Trump administration to return a second man deported to El Salvador. A judge saying a 20-year-old Venezuelan man named Christian had a court-approved agreement and should not have been deported. We'll follow the details of that case as it unfolds. It will be important to keep up with the maturation of that story, every detail, because every detail in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been a small explosion in the face of Democrats. It has been a slow-motion train wreck. We're now learning new details today, including that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was pulled over driving a car belonging to a human smuggler. Oh, quote, Abrego Garcia was driving a black 2001 Chevrolet Suburban that he said belonged to his boss. The Suburban was then identified by DHS as belonging to Hernandez Reyes, who pleaded guilty to human smuggling after being caught in Mississippi in a car with passengers from Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras. What a turn of events. Yet the latest detail that has exploded the narrative of the Maryland father. Governor Rick Perry of the great state of Texas once made a horrendous mistake on the Republican debate stage. He wanted to name 3 departments that he would cancel as president of the United States. He only managed to remember 2. Having not learned that mistake, I'm going to walk you through now together, hopefully, the 10 steps that led to this slow motion train wreck for Democrats. 1, let's start with the narrative, the story that Donald Trump has arrested and deported a Maryland father.
The Supreme Court orders the Trump administration to return the Maryland father who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador's notorious prison.
The Maryland father.
The Maryland father.
The Maryland father.
He will not return the Maryland father.
Maryland father.
The Trump administration claims it is not required to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland father wrongfully deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador.
These commies.
A Maryland father. That could be any American citizen, any father who lives in Maryland. That could
Soros
be Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. It could be you. But 2, we quickly learned that Kilmar.
By the way, guys, give a bunch of ones to President Trump for cutting off funding to PBS and National Public Radio, 2 far-left communist-run organizations, in my estimation, that have been basically leeching off taxpayers, producing far-left anti-American propaganda. Give me a bunch of ones. One of the best decisions that could have ever been made. How is it that our government somehow funds organizations that are un-American and dedicated to the destruction of this country? Bunch of ones for the prez on that move.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia had a deportation order, a standing deportation order, yes, with a withholding standing notice not to deport him, but he had been judged as an illegal immigrant capable of deportation. And that then shifted 3, the story to the ubiquitous term you've all come to know, now a Maryland man.
A man who used to live in Maryland until he was taken away.
This issue about the Maryland man.
Maryland man.
A Maryland man.
Maryland man.
The growing calls to return the Maryland man.
That Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
The wrongful deportation of a Maryland man.
There are literally millions of Maryland men.
Commies.
There are ones right now living in Bethesda, pushing their kids down the street on a bike, teaching them how to ride 2 wheels before they commute into work in Washington, D.C. And the story is clear. They're deporting Maryland men. They may deport you. They're deporting Americans.
Maryland man.
We learned that Kilmar Abrego Garcia has ties to gangs. In fact, MS-13. Allegations of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's ties to MS-13 come from law enforcement. Abrego Garcia was validated as a member of the MS-13 gang. Subject was identified as Chiqueo from the Western Clique. These were all allegations, according to the media and to Democrats. They were not, in fact, facts. But there were facts, like Abrego Garcia's tattoos, which we soon saw. We notably saw them in a visit from Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. Those tattoos, according to gang experts, are affiliated with gangs like MS-13. And yet, the commitment of Democrats to Kilmar Abrego Garcia reached a fever pitch.
How about that?
5. Every Democrat rallied to his cause. The media rallied to his cause.
God from Maryland.
We do not disappear people.
The Trump administration abducted and imprisoned.
Guys, did you see Pocahontas? Wait, let's listen to Pocahontas really quick. This is a lady who pretended to be an American Indian so she could get DEI and affirmative action. Apparently used DEI and affirmative action so she could get into like a more expensive school for cheaper. And then we have this man over here. I think it's PMS NBC. What's his name with the pantsuit? This guy. Listen what the man has to say as well after her.
We do not disappear people.
The Trump administration abducted and imprisoned a Maryland man.
We're getting hundreds and hundreds of calls. People saying, go to El Salvador, do something.
If they can trample his rights, as the president's talking about doing, then they can trample the rights of every one who lives in America.
Just how the Constitution works and saying the government can't disappear people.
We are here to release
Alien Skeletor.
Abrego Garcia.
Why is it that they all look like this? But really, guys, I mean, like, really, this reminds me of something out of, like, I don't know, like, have you guys ever seen the movie Planet of the Apes, like the slave girls? Doesn't she look, give me a bunch of ones if you look like this typical liberal woman looks like she should be in the cast of Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. Give me a bunch of twos if you think she's gorgeous.
Kilmer Abrego Garcia is just like you, and they can't disappear people, not in America. Then, next, we learned that Kilmer Abrego Garcia has domestic violence protection order against him, allegations from his wife. In the filing written in Vasquez's own writing, that's his wife, she alleges Abrego Garcia repeatedly beat her, writing, "At this point, I'm afraid to be close to him. I have multiple photos, videos of how violent he can be and all the bruises he has left me. In November 2020, he hit me with his work boot," she wrote. "In August 2020, he hit me in the eye, leaving a purple eye." Then we saw Democrats make trips. They started to move down to El Salvador to visit this person who is supposed to be just like you and a stand-in for the rights of Americans, most notably due process.
Federal courts have said we need to bring Mr. Abrego Garcia home to protect his constitutional rights to due process.
They're on some type of temporary status. They deserve a day in court and due process.
They're scared that they'll be sent to another country with zero due process.
Nothing more American than due process.
The pivot to due process and away from the man, Kilmer Abrego Garcia, perhaps was smart because, 8, we began to get more information about who exactly this man is. We learned that in 2022, he was pulled over and suspected of human trafficking. There were 8 passengers in the car. All passengers gave the same home address as Abrego Garcia. He was cited for driving with an expired license. He feigned not knowing English. They then, because his story continues to unravel, tripled down on our principles, our rule of law, our due process, our Constitution. But 9, J.D. Vance says that's exactly what's been received by Kilmer Abrego Garcia, due process.
I just disagree with the idea that he hasn't been offered due process. He had a couple of immigration hearings. He had a valid deportation order. I think there's actually a deeper issue going on, which is that you see some radical judges at the district court level who are trying to layer so much quote-unquote process on top of the immigration system that it makes it impossible to function. We have over 20 million illegal aliens in the United States of America. Are we not allowed to deport them? Because if we're not allowed to deport them, then what these district courts are saying is fundamentally they reject the will of the American people as it was expressed in November of 2024.
This man who has received due process brings us finally to number 10. The detail that when he was pulled over with those 8 illegal immigrants, he was driving his boss's car, and his boss had been charged with human smuggling. The case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia is a bomb that has exploded in the face of Democrats, leaving them standing side by side in photo ops and in videos.
Why do we even call them Democrats? Let's just call them Marxists, guys. I mean, why even I'm a recovering Democrat. The Democrat Party left me. I didn't leave them. I support secure borders. I support illegal aliens not being in my country and getting free stuff to try to turn the whole country blue using the census. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
Cheering and championing someone who is most definitely an illegal immigrant, alleged to be a gang member, alleged to be a domestic violence and human
Gloria,
smuggler.
good seeing you, man.
And yet here they are today, standing there, arm in arm, with Kilmer Abrego.
Demon crap.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube.
It's just crazy, guys. I mean, what happened to the Democrat Party? A bunch of freaks and weirdos, man. Like, it's almost like going into an insane asylum to see these people, like Pocahontas and all these freaking whack jobs. I don't get it. Let's watch the next one. Let's learn a little bit more about all the crazy DEI nonsense that the Democrats have bestowed upon our country. The lower IQ, the better. The lower the IQ, the better. Let's keep going.
Right now, a verdict has been reached in former Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's fraud trial. This was the first full day of deliberations for the jury after nearly 2 weeks of testimony.
The jury handed down its verdict about 30 minutes ago or so. Marilyn Mosby guilty on count 2 in this case.
Yeah, Nate the lawyer, my man.
All right, to understand Marilyn Mosby, you have to understand Freddie Gray. Now, Freddie Gray was George Floyd before George Floyd. In 2015, Freddie Gray died in police custody, and it sparked massive protests in the city of Baltimore. Here's some video.
Police say Gray ran from police who pursued him, arresting him, as this video shows, at 8:39. Just 4 minutes later, at 8:43, is when he's put into that police van, and he asks for an inhaler. At 8:46, the van driver says he gets irate. They pull over, and leg irons are put on. A medic isn't called until 9:24. Gray is then hospitalized.
So when everything was said and done, the conclusion was that Gray's injuries occurred in the van, in the police van that he was put into. Now, there was someone else in that police van when Freddie Gray was there. Here's what he had to say.
I'm Dante Allen. I am the one that was in the van with Freddie Gray.
The one who the police commissioner calls the second prisoner in the van.
The second prisoner that was picked up is that he didn't see any harm done to Freddie at all. What he has said is that he heard Freddie thrashing about.
But Dante wants to get something straight.
All it did was go straight to the station, but I heard a little banging that was like he was banging his head.
He tells WJZ he's angry about an internal police report published in the Washington Post.
And they trying to make it seem like I told them that, you know what I mean, that Freddie Gray did that to himself. Why the f would he do that to himself?
Dante Allen was in...
Maybe because he was a complete psychopath. Anyways.
This van, because he allegedly stole a cigarette from this store on North Avenue. He was never charged. Instead, he was brought straight downtown.
I talked to homicide. I told homicide the same story.
A story he says is being distorted.
Now, we have an eyewitness who was in the van where Freddie Gray was allegedly injured. And he's saying he didn't witness any police beatings or anything like that. He did hear his head hitting against the wall or something like that, or him thrashing around, which may have caused his injuries. But this person who was in the van at the time says he didn't see the police do anything crazy or improper. Now, this wasn't enough to stop massive protests in Baltimore, where the governor even had to declare a state of emergency.
Yeah, you got
Tonight, we have witnessed lawlessness and chaos on the streets as the violence escalates despite calls for peace. All this in the wake of today's funeral for a young man who died of severe injuries while in police custody. Baltimore is burning. After a day of looting and rioters clashing violently with police, tonight a community center in flames lights up the city as police and community activists try and take back the streets.
Yeah, let's burn down our own city. That sounds like a great idea.
Lost to chaos earlier today. Rioters armed with gas masks, appearing ready for a fight. The police force under siege, at least 15 officers injured. The mayor taking to the streets tonight to condemn those responsible.
So with people begging for justice in the streets, burning down the city, Marilyn Mosby made the hard, tough decision to charge the officers with murder and manslaughter.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
On Friday, Mosby charged 6 officers with at least 3 counts each.
And guys, I'm no fan of cops, but there was overwhelming evidence, even by a witness, that the guy was back there banging his head, getting crazy. And this woman pandering, and you're going to find out about her criminal past, just like Letitia James and all these other DEI hire prosecutors. It's just going to, I don't understand it, guys. It's like the same song playing over and over again. Let's keep going.
And declared her city's cops illegally arrested Gray on April 12th. Mosby alleged the officers ignored Gray's pleas for help at least 5 times and put him on his stomach head first into a police van for the ride to the police station without a seatbelt on. Baltimore residents took to the streets in jubilation after the surprise announcement, with police and riot gear standing calmly nearby.
So now it seems like all is right with the world. The cops are charged with murder and manslaughter, and the protests have stopped in the streets. But there was a pesky thing they needed to go through, which was a trial. And at a trial, you need to provide evidence. And unfortunately, all the evidence was bad for the prosecutor.
Of course.
See, the prosecutor's whole case hinged on the fact that the police allegedly knew that Freddie Gray was in medical distress and didn't do anything. And didn't help him, and left him in that state, and eventually he died, making them responsible for his death. But remember earlier when I showed you that eyewitness who was actually in the back with Freddie Gray?
I'm Dante Allen. I am the one that was in the van with Freddie Gray.
The one who the police commissioner calls the second prisoner in the van.
The second prisoner that was picked up is that he didn't see any harm done to Freddie at all. What he has said is that he heard Freddie thrashing about.
So this witness is really damaging to the prosecution's case, because their case hinges on the fact that the cops were extremely reckless by leaving Freddie Gray in the back. But you also have a witness who's back in the back of the van with Freddie Gray, who's saying that it didn't seem like he was in need of any type of medical assistance. He wasn't suffering from a medical emergency. Now, that would essentially make this negligence, right? They put him in the back. They didn't properly put him in the back of the van, and he died. So it's negligence, but that wouldn't make it criminal. So with that said, 3 of the officers were acquitted of war on all counts, and the other 3, the charges were 100% dismissed because the prosecution never had a case to begin with.
Jeff, I have to ask, it seems that Baltimore's reaction to the verdict has been pretty muted so far. Is that the case?
Well, that is the case. There were smaller protests earlier. You see here outside City Hall, maybe you can see the barricades behind me, but there were no protesters here earlier today. So yes, overall, the reaction to this verdict has been muted.
It seems that that's been the case the last couple of trials. How will this verdict influence the 4 remaining trials now?
Well, look at these cases this way. It's like a link, a chain link. And if there is a lack of evidence in one case and the link drops out, well, then that can affect the cases down the line. So that's what we're hearing about this decision by this judge. This could have ramifications. It could really influence the trials to come.
This was supposed to be one of the bigger cases. Some critics say the trials here were rushed, Jeff. Is there any validity to that?
Well, that's what you hear a lot around here.
Because she's just trying to get a promotion. You know what I'm saying?
From supporters, certainly, of the police officers who feel that Marilyn Mosby, who's the city's top prosecutor, rushed to judgment in this case and really rushed the results of the investigation without really considering the ramifications. And so there is talk around here that perhaps there was this rush to judgment, because when you look at these cases and how they've come together, there has been a common theme. And at times this theme is that there is a lack of evidence in one case, a lack of evidence in another case. And so there are concerns that perhaps this was a case that was, or these cases were rushed.
Now, here is Marilyn Mosby dismissing all the charges against all the other officers because she had no evidence that they were guilty of anything.
For those that believe that I'm anti-police, it's simply not the case. I'm anti-police brutality. And I need not remind you that the only loss and the greatest loss in all of this was that of Freddie Gray's life. We do not believe that Freddie Gray killed himself. We stand by the medical examiner's determination that Freddie Gray's death was a homicide. However, after much thought and prayer, it has become clear to me that without being able to work with an independent investigatory agency from the very start, without having a say in the election of whether our cases proceed in front of a judge or a jury, without communal oversight of policing in this community, without real substantive reforms to the current criminal justice system, we could try this case 100 times, and cases just like it, and we would still end up with the same result. Accordingly, I have decided not to proceed on the cases against Officer Garrett, Sergeant Alicia White, or to relitigate the case against William Porter.
You know she's thinking, I hope they didn't hear me. So with no evidence, the case was dismissed. But then some interesting stuff came out about the chief prosecutor.
All right, we have more breaking news right now. Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby has been indicted.
WJZ investigator Mike Halgren is live with more details. Mike.
Lynn, Denise, we are still reviewing that indictment. I was just looking through it, 19 pages. It is signed by the U.S. Attorney in Maryland. It appears that there are charges of perjury and making a false statement on a loan application for taking a COVID-19 hardship withdrawal from a 401k account. Again, we are still reviewing the document, but it appears there are multiple.
Let me ask you guys a question. Why is it that all these recent DEI hired prosecutors keep getting arrested and charged for doing the same crap? Fraud, theft, burglary, lying on loan applications. I don't know. It's almost like the people that put them into power, like George Soros, already knew they were criminals, right? And knew that at any time they wanted to, they could pull the pin on that grenade. What do you guys think?
Multiple charges against Marilyn Mosby. This indictment was brought with the assistance of a grand jury. Marilyn Mosby has long denied any wrongdoing. From the start of this, we know that she has been under investigation by the federal government for some time now. We were unsure whether there would be any charges. Again, Marilyn Mosby has denied any wrongdoing in previous statements, but it appears that she has been indicted on several charges, including perjury and making false statements when trying to obtain a loan.
So this thing doesn't get too confusing. Here's a timeline of what happened.
In January of 2022, Marilyn Mosby, Baltimore's top prosecutor at the time, was indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of perjury and making false mortgage applications. 9 months later, in September of 2022, Mosby's trial was pushed back. This was the first of several delays that would come over the next year. This first delay was in connection to an expert witness, and it was following Mosby's loss in the Democratic primary in her attempt to remain in position as Baltimore City State's Attorney. In January of this year, there was a surprising twist in Mosby's case when a judge allowed her entire defense team to withdraw. The judge then appointed a public defender to represent Mosby. This resulted in another delay in the trial. And finally, this past September, Mosby's defense attorney scored a major victory when they got her federal trial moved out of Baltimore and split into two cases, one for perjury, the other for mortgage fraud.
So Marilyn Mosby went to trial twice, first on the perjury charge, and the jury found her guilty as charged.
Marilyn Mosby's perjury trial centered on allegations she lied, saying COVID impacted her Mahogany Elite travel business so she could withdraw thousands of dollars from her retirement account, penalty-free, to buy 2 vacation homes in Florida. And while jurors never heard Mosby testify, they did hear her voice in several recorded phone calls with her retirement plan's customer service as she tried to get the money.
Yeah, I need the emergency withdrawal option, right? Like if you have that written out, because I have the document that is from the fund withdrawal payout options, and in it, it specifies that you may withdraw funds when you, and it gives you 3 different scenarios. But the second one is really what my mortgage, the underwriter for the lending agency is looking for. Experience a qualifying unforeseeable emergency that will cause you severe financial hardship.
Prosecutors alleged Mahogany Elite was a sham, that Mosby never intended to operate it and never took on a single client.
Now I'm in a situation where I need this money, and I'm trying to figure out if there's anything that I can do in order to start the process and to get it. You haven't submitted a form for the COVID? No, I can do that. I can do that right now. And I had a very lengthy conversation with the representative who explained to me what my options were. He told me about the CARES Act provision, and he explained to me what my deadline was if in fact they're needed to take out additional money.
The jury came into the courtroom. The judge took a poll. They said they were going to have the foreperson speak for them, and the foreperson presented the verdict sheet to the court clerk. The court clerk read the verdict, again, guilty on 2 counts of perjury for Marilyn Mosby. And this stems from statements that she made to get a penalty-free COVID withdrawal from her retirement account in Baltimore City.
So now facing 10 years for perjury. She was also then found guilty again last week. Check it out.
A verdict has been reached in former Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's fraud trial.
Huge fall from grace for the one-time state's attorney for the city of Baltimore who served 2 terms to be convicted now of 1 count of mortgage fraud. She was convicted of perjury back in November for withdrawals that she made from her retirement fund that were inappropriate. She blamed COVID-19, said she could have a hardship withdrawal. Well, jurors found that that was a lie. So she was found guilty then. She was found guilty today.
Okay, so that's the curious cases of Marilyn Mosby, former top state's attorney, now going to prison for mortgage fraud and perjury. Talk about a fall, right? And, you know, it's with the Freddie Gray case. I kind of think she's getting what she deserved, because in that case, she put those cops through hell and had no evidence to charge them or anything. Now she's probably going to lose her law license. Now she's lost her freedom, and it's weird.
What do you guys think? Do you think that Freddie Gray was murdered, or do you think that he went psychopath in the back of the van and banged his head and got crazy? Do you think that Nate the lawyer is a racist, bigot, and a homophobe for thinking that there was not enough evidence to convict the police and that they were falsely charged? Or do you think the jackboot thug you-know-whats are guilty? Give me a bunch of 1s if they're guilty. Give me a bunch of 2s if they're not. All right. Hit that like and subscribe button. What's going on, F? Good seeing you, brother. Let's get into the next video. Tonight we're doing the corrupt DEI government officials, the people who get put into power based upon their race or their gender as opposed to their qualifications. And then we wonder why they keep on going to jail and getting convicted of crimes. It's the most amazing thing. It's a real shocker. What do you guys think? Let's watch some more DEI hires and see what happens to them. Let's go.
America's first BLM mayor. My name is Khalid. My name is Khalid. I am running to be your next mayor. I am running to be your next mayor. The election is tomorrow. The election is tomorrow.
Who was arrested for burglary.
This afternoon, some residents in the city of South Fulton have called for the mayor to resign after his arrest over the weekend. Mayor Khalid Kamau faces burglary and trespassing charges after entering a property owner's home over the weekend.
Then, like the mayor of Los Angeles, he went to Ghana to party like a rock star on the taxpayer dime.
Now at 6, a local mayor accused of partying around the world on the taxpayer's dime and misusing his city-approved credit card.
He gave this man $7,000 of our taxpayers' dollars.
New tonight, the mayor's response when we questioned him about the allegations.
And if you think that's not bad enough, the mayor just started spending the town's money like it was his own.
Some members of the public and at least one city council member accused the mayor of making tens of thousands of dollars in unauthorized expenditure.
We got a lot to talk about.
Totally. I like Nate. I think
this
cool.
is Khalid Kamau, a Black Lives Matter legend. Now, he became America's first #Black Lives Matter community organizer elected to public office in a shocking upset over an incumbent Democrat. Now, as mayor, he has listed some of his accomplishments on his website, like them declaring racism as a public health crisis. He's made Juneteenth a paid city holiday. He also wants to stop employees from asking job applicants about their past criminal history. And he also wants to eliminate Columbus Day in favor of Indigenous People Day. Now, the mayor describes himself as a college-educated community activist, Southern Black Christian socialist. So, why was he arrested for burglary? All right, here are the facts. On Saturday, July 9th, 2023, at about 6:50 in the morning, a homeowner called 911 to report a trespasser in his home. Now, the homeowner had video surveillance at a lake house that he used as a vacation home. Now, the mayor inadvertently tripped an alarm at the lake property. The homeowner then saw the mayor on the cameras going into the empty lake house. The homeowner got dressed, grabbed his gun, and drove to the lake house to see what's up. When the owner got to his home, he saw the mayor inside and held him at gunpoint until police arrived. Now, the mayor allegedly could be heard on the 911 call stating, "Do you know who the F I am? I'm the mayor, and I'll wait for my police to get here and then see what happens." The homeowner then responded, holding the gun, "No, mother effer, you stay right there." So after police showed up and arrested the mayor for burglary, here's what the mayor told local news during his perk walk.
I just wanted to see the house. I do apologize to the owners. I thought it was abandoned.
What do you say to your constituents?
I apologize for the negative attention this has brought to our city. I hope that the spotlight that is on our city
and guns is racist too
right now will highlight some of the inequities that have been happening.
So you're guilty of the charges?
I think that's for the voters to decide.
Now, the mayor went back to work a couple of days later, and some in the community are calling for his resignation for the embarrassment of having a mayor charged with a major felony. Burglary is a major felony.
Some South Fulton residents have now called on the mayor to resign after his weekend arrest.
They say the mayor has been a disappointment and is bringing the city down. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us live from South Fulton with the latest. Angelique.
Well, Courtney, we talked to 5 residents. All 5 of them say they want the mayor to resign now. And in a related development, I learned today that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office is now investigating the South Fulton County mayor. But Fonnie Willis's office would not say what the topic of its investigation is.
Now, the mayor claims that he will not resign. During his arraignment, the judge requested a mental health examination to see if there's any mental issues going on with this mayor. Now, the mayor was charged with criminal trespass and burglary, which is a felony, and was booked in the Fulton County Jail. He was held on $11,000 bail until he was released. Now, after this whole ordeal happened over the weekend, here's what the mayor has said publicly about his arrest.
A lot has happened in the past few days, and some of you are eager to talk about it. Our city has never shied away from courageous conversations, and there will be time for all of that, and we will announce a time and place for those conversations to happen.
Here's a quick word from our sponsor, Ethos. What feed a straight or brave
through this because Ethos ain't paying my butt. You know what I'm saying? So let's get on over to it.
Term life insurance and 10 minutes with Ethos. Signs were already there. See, this mayor took office in January 2022, and just 6 months later, the entire city council voted that they didn't have confidence in this guy running their city.
South Fulton City Council says it has no confidence in its own mayor. This comes after the mayor claimed the council created a culture of corruption. It's been a fiery week in South Fulton, and that included tonight where multiple onlookers protested and had to be escorted out of the meeting.
In a room at capacity and at times in uproar, the city council made a unanimous vote of no confidence against their own mayor, Khalid Camus.
This city council is doing whatever they want to do.
This a few days after the mayor questioned.
Hey guys, give me a bunch of ones for Point Fire. That's the coolest name I think I've seen so far on the internet. Point Fire, boom. That's great.
The council's handling of a police investigation.
I blowing the whistle on this because as mayor, the buck stops with me. And the end of this culture of corruption will also stop with me.
Fast forward to Friday. Camus said this meeting was illegal, violating an Open Meetings Act. He said he also filed temporary restraining orders against the city attorney and all council members.
So they knew from the beginning this mayor was a disaster. And again, we're talking about his first 2 years in office. He's already been arrested for burglary. And on the top of that, the city council has voted no confidence in this mayor. And things could only get worse because the mayor can also spend taxpayer money. So what do you think happened? Well, the money started.
What you talking about, man?
Bank records from the mayor's city-issued credit card shows more than $25,000 spent between October and December.
Is the city of South Fulton doing any business in Africa? Not to my knowledge. That's not even a priority.
I went through the documents and discovered multiple plane tickets totaling more than $5,000, including this Air Kenya flight worth more than $1,500. There's also
F says the mayor's prison memoir state, I always keep a smile on your face no matter what they say against you. Oh my God. You guys are really like, this is the best audience on the planet. Give me a bunch of ones for yourselves.
$1,300 purchase for a drone, a $1,800 Amazon purchase, and $250 spent at a mall in Ghana.
Now, if this doesn't sound strangely familiar, you may be new to the channel, but we follow these crazy mayors all across the country. And this is exactly what someone like Tiffany Hinyard does. She takes the town's credit card and spends like crazy and doesn't tell anyone how she's spending the money. So it seems like these mayors who have no experience, they get into these positions and they start spending like drunken sailors. And then on top of that, they start traveling the world. Like, remember Hinyard? She went to Vegas. She's going to New York. She's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars traveling out of Dalton for no reason at all.
Credit card records show Hinyard and her team have charged taxpayers more than $102,000 for trips they've taken in the past year. That includes a stay at the Four Seasons in Atlanta and a $13,000 hotel tab in New York City. Township taxpayers also paid for a trip to Las Vegas.
You can go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
Actually, yes. No, I know this sounds crazy, but this seems to be happening all the time, all over the country. Here is the New Orleans mayor who is caught spending lavish on travel and listen to.
Why do all these Democrat mayors love going to Africa and spending all their taxpayer money? What's going on over there that makes it better than the United States? I want to know. Can someone tell me what the deal is? Is it like a holy jihad or something? I don't get it.
To her excuse why she should be totally forgiven for spending excess amount of people's money on her own personal travel.
Toya Cantrell refuses to reimburse $30,000 that she used to upgrade her flights. Airline tickets, basically. She insists that flying coach is unsafe for black women.
Nice.
The quote.
Check out that
My travel accommodations are a matter of safety, not a...
This is my mayor. Can you imagine having this for your mayor?
Airline.
Check out that chain. Oh my God. That is one hell of a chain.
Tickets, basically. She insists that flying coach is unsafe for black women. Here's the quote. My travel accommodations are a matter of safety, not of luxury. As all women know, our health and safety are often disregarded, and we are left to navigate alone. Anyone who wants to question how I protect myself just doesn't understand the world black women walk in.
Yeah, so that actually happened, and that was her excuse. And let's not even talk about the mayor of St. Louis and her crazy traveling. So now, as you see, mayors from around the...
Guys, give me a bunch of ones for F. He hooked me up with $2. That's almost enough for me to get one of them chains. Thank you, F.
Country are doing the same exact thing, spending lavish on travel to places that have nothing to do with their job. And Khalid is no different. He headed to Guyana because, hey, why not? They're going to pay for it.
Right now at 6, a local mayor accused of partying around the world on the taxpayer's dime and misusing his city-approved credit card. Expensive hotels, pricey Amazon purchases, and thousands of dollars spent on international flights. It's what the mayor of the city of South Fulton is accused of, all at the cost of taxpayers.
For more than 20 days, Snelling says the mayor of South Fulton, Khalid Kamal, who now goes by the name Mayor Kobe, documented his trip to Ghana on Instagram.
Is the city of South Fulton doing any business in Africa? Not to my knowledge. That's not even a priority.
So are you saying your travels were legit? Are you standing by what you spent?
Absolutely.
I was able to catch the mayor in the parking lot at City Hall. He says he stands by his purchases.
It's really a smear campaign. You will see in the meeting the people that are talking the most are running for mayor.
Hail to the now, now.
And just response because it was already put out there.
That's it.
You don't want to
That's
respond
it.
to not
man,
submitting.
yeah.
Okay.
This is not a political grab. We have been here before with this mayor. He doesn't care about squandering tax dollars.
So the first BLM mayor seems to be in a lot of hot water, and he's obviously running for re-election, which I don't know who's going to vote for this lunatic after all of this. But I've been surprised before. Marion Barry from Washington, D.C., he was caught smoking crack on camera.
A little bit of drama. In 1990, he made headlines after a televised surveillance tape showed him smoking crack in a D.C. hotel room. He was later convicted, and he did serve 6 months in prison for that.
Now, that did not stop him from a comeback. Barry reclaimed his seat as mayor in 1995. And then was reelected to the city council in 2004.
And they still voted him back in. So who knows? So now I'm going to leave it to you. Tell me what you think should happen to Mayor Kobe. Should he be forced to pay that money back? Should they find out how you spent $26,000 and all of a sudden no one knows? What about the huge Amazon purchases? Again, this is like Dalton, Illinois again, except we're in South Fulton, Georgia. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe,
Yeah, give me a bunch of ones for Nathan Lawyer. I'm still trying to get him to come on my show. All right, now let's get into some other DEI hires that I don't know what it is, man. The Democrats just keep on putting these activist judges and electing these complete idiots into political office, and they just steal your money, violate the Constitution. It's like no big deal. It's like business as usual.
Former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife, Nancy Cano, have been taken into custody. This comes after they were found to harbor an illegal alien who is likely a Venezuelan gang member. Christian Ortega Lopez has alleged ties to the Tren de Aragua gang. Federal agents raided the couple's Las Cruces home. The judge and his wife are accused of evidence tampering. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Secretary Kristi Noem said, "Under President Trump, we have arrested over 150,000 aliens, including more than 600 members of the vicious Tren de Aragua gang. If you are here illegally and break the law, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and lock you up." That's a promise. Ortega Lopez was apprehended at the Cano residence in February. He was initially hired by Nancy Cano for home repairs and later offered accommodation in the couple's guest house.
Of course.
Court documents reveal. Investigators uncovered evidence linking Ortega Lopez to the Tren de Aragua gang, including gang-related...
Can you imagine a freaking judge who's buddied up with the freaking gangbangers, letting them use his guns, and he knows the guy's a gangbanger. He actually helped the guy delete photos off his phone showing where he decapitated, I guess, another enemy gang. And this is like systemic with Democrat judges, guys. That's why I had to leave the party. I just couldn't believe it. Like they care more about drug cartels and DEI and like trying to tell boys that they're girls than they care about making America a better place. It just blows me away. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
Clothing, tattoos, voicemails, and text messages. He unlawfully entered the U.S. on December 15th, 2023, by crossing the border near Eagle Pass, Texas, without inspection or authorization. Ortega Lopez was released on December 18th, 2023, pending removal proceedings due to overcrowding at the Border Patrol facility. He was issued a notice to appear, initiating formal removal proceedings under the Immigration and Nationality Act. 4 firearms were seized from the residence of April Cano after further investigation. He is currently facing federal charges for being an illegal alien in possession of a firearm and faces up to 15 years in prison. Former ICE Field Office Director John Fabricatori said Doña Ana County has been a hotbed of illegal immigration and drug trafficking, human smuggling for many.
When you have judges like aiding and abetting. What do you expect? I mean, how much do you think that judge made from all the illegal drug smuggling and human smuggling that these illegal alien criminals that Sleepy Joe Biden invited into the United States at your expense? At your expense. How much do you think all these politicians, these commies that flooded our country with this trash, are making in kickbacks and jobs at these nonprofits when they leave office that your tax dollars paid for? Put it in the comments.
Many years. To see that a judge would allow this to happen, it's very concerning. It's concerning. What else has the judge been doing? Judge Cano resigned from his judicial position in March. The New Mexico Supreme Court issued a ruling permanently barring him from holding any judicial office in the state on April 22nd.
And this is the guy, this is just the one that got caught. This is just the one that got caught. I mean, imagine. You don't think that his colleagues on the bench are doing the same crap, guys? You don't think so? Come on. Give me a bunch of ones if you think a lot of our judges are very corrupt and they're getting paid off by drug cartels and these tax-funded nonprofits that are run by guys like George Soros and Bill Gates. And that's why we don't get any justice in this country. I'd like to see. Give me a bunch of twos if you just think I'm a tinfoil hat crazy person.
Breaking news, the FBI has just arrested a Milwaukee judge accused of trying to help a man evade immigration authorities. In a now deleted post on X, the FBI director writes that Judge Hannah Dugan intentionally misdirected agents. ABC News Justice reporter Alex Malin has the details. Alex, what do we know so far?
Well, we don't know why the FBI director deleted that post, but we do know from our affiliate in Wisconsin that Judge Hannah Dugan did make her initial appearance this morning. She was charged with 2 federal crimes. That includes concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and the second count is obstruction of federal proceedings. She appeared, her attorney in that court proceeding said that, quote, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly protests the arrest, and the judge ended up actually.
So what do you guys think? Is Judge Dugan a trans, or is it that all Democrat judges that are females look like men? Give me a bunch of ones if Judge Dugan is a trans, or if a 2, if you just think that all Democrat judges look like men. I'd like to know what you think.
Actually ordering her released after that hearing. We expect that she will plead not guilty to those charges. But this is a dramatic escalation, obviously, of the Trump administration's, war with the judiciary. They have been previewing the possibility that they would seek charges against any judge or federal officer or even state officers who they say obstruct lawful deportation efforts by this administration. But obviously, this is a dramatic escalation of that. And they detail this. We just got these court charges that were unsealed. Basically, on April 18th, they say that Judge Dugan had an undocumented immigrant set to appear before her in court. And they allege that she helped facilitate him evading ICE officers who were present and ready to arrest him at that court.
Hold on. One of my viewers said this looks like Shrek's wife. Give me a bunch of ones if you think this is Shrek's wife. Give me a bunch of 2s if you think that I'm a psychopath.
They say that they were actually able to later arrest him on the street, that he fled them. But now they are bringing those charges, saying that they're formally accusing this judge of trying to help this undocumented immigrant who was charged facing state charges of assault and battery and was appearing before her at that time on April 18th. So obviously, we're going to watch the developments. This is going to be a very contentious and closely watched case as we see this administration really take head on this idea that they say that state officials are seeking to obstruct their federal efforts to crack down on illegal immigration.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I just couldn't help myself. It just keeps getting better. I mean, can you believe that these dingleberries are actually in positions of public trust? And then you see stories like this prosecutor, Matt Walker, out there locking up Lane Myers, in my opinion, denying him due process, trying to silence people from being able to audio record in court, and getting all of his buddies at the local bar and a couple of court commissioners to join in. I mean, really, guys, doesn't this remind you of like 1930s Germany, where you just have like all the high party officials, putting the people in power, this is their Freundinnen,
Arrested and charged for allegedly obstructing ICE agents. Judge Hannah Dugan is accused of helping an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest.
That is absolutely
According to
true.
court documents, federal agents arrived to a courtroom to detain.
Vote our whole education system is far left, run primarily by Marxists. There's no question about it. And so what you have in the judiciary is a product of the public education system. Anti-American, they hate America. All of our founding fathers are racist, bigots, and homophobes. They really believe this crap. Most judges, from what I understand, are far left activists. And if you can prove me wrong, but I'll tell you something. I try to settle all my cases. The last thing I want to do is bring one of my cases before one of these people, because I feel like so many of them are politically ideological, political ideologues. They're activists, and they don't care about the Constitution in the Bill of Rights, according to many. Because I certainly couldn't say that, right? Because I'm an officer of the court, but I could say that other people say it, right? So what do you guys think? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that most judges are far left political activists, and that's why they're ruled the way that they do. And remember, political far lefties are basically more like fascists modernly. They're not the hippies that I grew up with when I was a Democrat. These are far left radicals who want to silence your speech and say that it's hate speech, like they're doing over in Germany and the UK. That's what the Democrats and the Canadians are doing, because Canadians, you might as well call them, lefties, because I don't know if there's anyone in Canada who actually supports the concept of individual rights, right? But what do you guys think? I want to know more. Hey, SW Observer, thank you, brother. So SW Observer gifted another membership. Yesterday, my friend from Sweden, my fellow Swedish brother. Thank you, Chevy. You guys donating those memberships means a lot to me, because it gets more people over here that are like-minded like us. You're right, Mannequin. Left assholes programmed, he says. Absolutely. I mean, the public school system was imported here by the Rockefeller family to create a nation of workers, not of thinkers. That's why I'm an advocate of homesteading and homeschooling, to make sure that you can teach your kids critical skills thinking and classical education, stuff that they don't teach you in school. For example, the reason for the American Revolution. Most kids don't even know what the American Revolution is, but the ones who do think it had to do with the Tea Party or something, right? No, the American Revolution was started because the King of England tried to seize our powder houses. That's where they stored the gunpowder. And that was enough to get the 3% of the population that actually participated in the fighting to rebel and win freedom for the other, what they called fence riders, which is what most people are. They just sit on the fence, put their finger in the wind, whatever the way the political winds blow, that's the way they go. But people in my audience are that 3%, the ones who would have actually participated in the revolution to overthrow tyrants. Sic semper tyrannis. Let's get back into it, guys. This is a good one.
In a Mexican immigrant just over a week ago, witnesses say they saw Dugan direct the man to leave her courtroom through a private door. He was later taken into custody. Joining us now is CNN senior law enforcement analyst Andrew McCabe. Andrew, I've heard you say that this incident should never have happened. Explain why.
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of different ways that this thing went wrong. And I should say, first of all, I don't believe that the law enforcement officers here did anything inappropriate. It is maybe shocking for some people to realize that people do get arrested at the courthouse periodically. It doesn't happen every day, but it is a place that you can know someone where you know someone's going to be there at a particular time, and you can do it in a way that's.
And by the way, this is CNN, Communist News Network. Even they have to admit that this is. When a judge obstructs justice, that the government, keeping an illegal alien criminal who should have never even been invited into this country, who had already been deported and snuck back in thanks to Sleepy Joe Biden and all of his Marxist commie friends, who was allegedly beat the crap out of this victim and other victims waiting in the courtroom for justice. And this freaking jackwagon escorts the illegal alien criminal outside the back door. And look at this thing. I mean, are you kidding me?
Safe because they've already come through a metal detector. Now, those arrests are usually required to take place in the public spaces, the hallways outside the courtrooms, and not to interrupt the courtroom proceeding. But it sounds from the complaint like that's exactly what the law enforcement officers plan to do here. Whether or not the judge intentionally obstructed the proceeding and intentionally concealed this man from arrest. Those are the offenses she's been charged with. Will come down to determining her intent. But there are a bunch of witnesses in this complaint.
She intentionally snuck an illegal alien criminal who was a fugitive from justice out the back door of the courtroom, guys. Listen to this freaking lefty commie over here trying to make up excuses. The way these guys try to spin the news just blows me away.
Who will certainly testify on behalf of the government as to what they saw her do. So it won't be a question so much of did she or did she not walk these people back into a private hallway. It'll be more, what did she intend by doing that?
Okay, so let's stay in this space here and let's extract the politics. Let's take the Trump of it and the mass deportation and all of that out of it. I know you say you have to get to intent, but how strong, based on the complaint, do you think the case is?
Very strong.
I think it's fairly strong. As I said, there's a number of witnesses here who perceive these events in real time. They've reported what they saw to the agent who's put that into the complaint. There's a bunch of law enforcement officers who were there who listened to the things she said.
Guys, Ex-Bootlicker, everybody, give me a bunch of ones for Ex-Bootlicker. Make sure to like and subscribe to Ex-Bootlicker's channel. CNN, the Chomo News Network, I would say that is 100% accurate. And not even as a joke, but these people are the ones who've been covering up the freaking Epstein Island story more than any other news network, in my humble opinion. And so I think that's a great characterization.
Ed, who will testify about how she reacted negatively to the discovery that there was law enforcement outside of her courtroom. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence there. But it'll come down to a jury to determine whether or not they think the judge.
Yeah, a jury that went to a public school, probably a bunch of post office workers who are hardcore left-wing Democrats. And let's see, they might get lucky and she'll get found not guilty.
Judge intentionally tried to conceal this person or get him away from law enforcement. So it's not a slam dunk, but it's also not it's not an unreasonable complaint. There's plenty of evidence in the complaint to get you beyond the probable cause phase, which is where we are right now.
And then after the arrest, soon after, the FBI Director Kash Patel posted an announcement of sorts on social media. The Attorney General Pam Bondi went on Fox News and called the judge deranged. I mean, the pedestrian question is, why would they do that? What would be the value of that? But I wonder, does that damage the case in some way?
It should. I mean, I think when you start looking at how the judge was treated.
Yeah. So when the prosecutor, here's the problem, guys. When a prosecutor goes online and disparages the accused, it does poison the case. And so for that reason, I think there is a possibility that this particular case may not be able to proceed. I think that Kash blew it, but I just think that all these guys are a bunch of idiots, all these government employees. I mean, first of all, why the hell would you want to become a government official anyways, or work for the government? I mean, you should be out trying to hustle. You should be buying and selling Bitcoin, digging ditches if you're a man, rough framing homes, laying pipe like a real man, right, guys? You should be out working and hustling, trying to provide for your family. You should be at the gun range with me on the weekend. You shouldn't be hanging out with all these the government employees. I mean, back in the old days, being a government employee was like something like people that couldn't make it in a regular job would do. Go and do the DMV and look what works there, and I think you'll agree with me. That's still the case today. Anyways, let's keep watching.
After the events that led to the charge. So where and when and how she was arrested, and the fact that she was arrested at the courthouse rather than her own residence, the fact that she was placed in a jail cell for hours before her arraignment was called in the court later in the afternoon. These things are unprecedented. Typically, upstanding members of the community who have no criminal history and aren't accused of a violent act are allowed to self-surrender at the time of their arraignment. The fact that they did not offer that courtesy to her and instead went out of their way to treat her harshly, I believe is an act of performative cruelty on behalf of the Department of Justice, which is not the way any Department of Justice should be acting. then their conduct in going directly to the media and spiking the football over this arrest.
First of all, I just want to share something with you. It's not unprecedented. Our founding fathers tarred and feathered government officials for doing far less. Harboring a fugitive, helping a fugitive that's been accused of beating the shit out of American citizens who's not even supposed to be in our country, and this person's supposed to be on the bench. Far worse would have happened to this judge at the founding of this nation. That's what they had gallows for. They would not even afforded someone like this a trial. So hearing this little freaking windbag over here on CNN saying that it's unprecedented, that's bullshit. All right, let's keep going.
Of a member of the judiciary, also a departure from policy,
right on,
totally unnecessary, and I think inappropriate by an attorney
sure
general
do.
and an FBI director.
That's right.
Andrew McCabe, thank you.
For more legal perspective, I want to bring in now former Miami-Dade County Court Judge Jeff Schwartz. Great to see you.
We don't need to hear what Jeff Schwartz has to say. He's just another far-left commie judge, according to many. Let's see what's going on this other channel over here. Let me see, you guys. Can you see it? You guys having a good time so far? Because I'm gonna probably head out in a little bit. I'm getting kind of tired. As you guys know, I have a really bad back injury, so it's been hard for me to do these lives. But I do want to thank you guys. And Cultivotan, you're right, man. I mean, look, I was a contractor before I was a lawyer. I know how to build homes. My dad was a custom home builder, and he built most of the Denny's restaurants in the United States. He was the general manager of construction for CBR development. So he built the Denny's and the Winchell's Donuts all across the U.S. And when I was a little boy, I would travel with them, and they put me on an airplane, and be on the 747 at the top, and the flight attendants, back then they were attractive, and they were women, and would take care of me and look after me and nurture me, and I would go see Dad. And I grew up in the construction business, so I can lay pipe, I can dig forms, I can put up the rough and do finish, I can put up sheetrock. I was a painter's apprentice for several years. I dropped out of regular school at like 16 and got a full-time job as a painter's apprentice. I went to school at night and was on a bus to MEPS on my 18th birthday. The gunny was over at the staff sergeant was over at this independent study program that I was on, throwing me in the bus as soon as I got my diploma. So, and that's, I became a lawyer because I wanted to help people, because I had been screwed under by the system so many times. And that's why I do these shows, because I care about you guys. There should be like millions more people watching my show because I'm real. I'm not one of these guys trying to get cases off YouTube. I do this because it's my passion. Go figure that I don't have millions of viewers, right? Anyways, guys, let's watch this video. Let's go.
Friday by the FBI. Federal authorities say that the judge interfered with the arrest of an undocumented immigrant. This is the latest in a series of recent confrontations between the Trump administration and the judiciary over immigration. NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist is with us this morning in Studio 1A with more. Aaron, good morning.
Peter, good morning. FBI agents grabbed that Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan in the courthouse parking lot early Friday morning. That's according to a senior law enforcement official. Now, Dugan faces 2 federal criminal charges here: impeding a U.S. government proceeding and concealing an individual to prevent discovery and arrest. The FBI director, Kash Patel, said in a post on X that's now been deleted that Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents when that defendant, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, was in Dugan's courtroom. He was there on local domestic abuse charges, Peter.
And Aaron, so what exactly is the judge being accused of here? Detail what this accusation is.
Well, Peter, court documents say that Dugan confronted arresting agents in the hallway before she directed Flores Ruiz and his lawyer through a non-public door in the courtroom there. And the documents say that Flores Ruiz was removed from the U.S. in 2013, and he had a deportation order against him again. Now, agents ultimately arrested him outside the courthouse on Friday. This is another salvo in the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration and that fight it's been having with the judiciary. The White House, we know, has threatened to take legal action against local officials, state officials, anybody who sort of gets in the way of their deportation efforts. Judge Dugan has a federal court appearance on May 15th. Her team says that she plans to defend herself vigorously, Peter, and she looks forward to being exonerated. Peter, Laura?
All right. So how about that? So here is the response of the Democrats. I mean, the judiciary might as well be the Democrat Party, though, right? So this is what all of the Democrat appointed judges are doing. They want to force DEI, didn't earn it. And they want to make sure to use their political activism, right, to make sure that we're forced to have unqualified people in office. Here's another example for you.
9:34, just into the newsroom. We have an update on the diversity, equity, and inclusion story we've been reporting for you all morning. You may have just gotten a push alert on your phone from Arizona's family. We're just now learning a New Hampshire judge is temporarily halting the White House's push to end DEI efforts in your kids' K-12 public schools. So today was
DEI is racism, pure and simple. It puts people based upon skin color or their gender or the fact that a dude likes to ball another dude in front of a line over someone who is more qualified based on their gender or skin color. So if there's an Asian guy or a white guy who has a higher IQ who's more qualified, they go to the back of the line. It's called DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. What it really means is didn't earn it. And this is what you have when you have activist judges in power. They want to make sure they keep this political activism going, where they have underqualified people getting appointed into positions of authority over the other people who are more qualified than them. It's a form of racism and bigotry, but they call it equity and inclusion. Let's keep watching.
the deadline for school districts nationwide to certify that they do not have any of these programs. They were at risk of losing federal funding if they did not comply with the guidelines laid out by the Trump administration. Now, the state superintendent here in Arizona told us as of yesterday afternoon, about 511 out of 658 districts across our state had filed the compliance forms needed. Arizona is one of several states that rely mostly on federal funding to support K-12 public schools, including millions of dollars that help low-income schools and students with disabilities. So this latest ruling from the judge, of course, is the newest step in this case. The ruling came in a lawsuit brought by the National Education Association and also the ACLU. It accused the Trump administration of violating teachers' due process and also First Amendment rights.
God,
this is a
you
developing
gotta be
story.
kidding
We
me.
have not heard back from the White House yet in terms of the latest movement by this judge.
Let's put underqualified people in power. Let's put tampon machines in the men's room and make sure we put justices and judges on the bench who will make sure that those ridiculous, unconscionable policies stay in place. And if you don't like it and you disagree, well, you're going to end up just like Felice Johnson, guys. You're going to end up just like Felice Johnson if you don't go along with the program. Felice, what do you have to say about this? In closing, guys, we're going to see what's going to happen if you disagree with these people. You're going to end up just like Felice.
Oh, I know who you are, Chris Hansen. But see, I call you Chris Handsome. I watch your TV show all the time.
Oh, man, I don't know if y'all know about Felice Johnson, but Felice Johnson became really popular in my lifetime as a child when he was portrayed on the Boondocks in the episode revolving around Beyond Scared Straight, you feel me? And he was portrayed as the booty warrior on that whole situation. Now, the Boondocks did an episode where they basically parodied Beyond Scared Straight as well as goddamn To Catch a Predator.
You want to explain to me what you're doing here?
I came looking for booty.
You came looking for sex with an underage boy?
Oh, no, I ain't come looking for no little boys. I ain't got no milk, no cookies, nothing. I came looking for man's butt.
Yeah, they parodied both of those shows, and Felice Johnson was a character, the star character of the episode. And basically, he was there to scare the kids from going to jail because they got booty warriors in there that want your booty. They like booty, and they're going to take the booty. That character became so popular in the Boondocks franchise and just the world all around. And from that point, the real person, Felice Johnson, his reputation has preceded itself.
I like you, and I want you. Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
The man is out of jail now. He's out of jail now. He's doing interviews on a YouTube channel called Hustler Spirit. And he's saying, you know, that Boondocks episode, as well as the documentary that he did that was portrayed or parodied in the Boondocks episode, it had a lasting effect on his life, and not all good, man. But first thing first, I'm going to play a little snippet to let Felice explain how he even ended up in a situation with doing a documentary in the first damn place.
All of them get hard. All of them's horny. All of them got sexual desire. So what are they going to do? If you don't let them have a woman, they going to have each. Somebody's going to have to give us some booty. And it's just as simple.
I was in prison. I was causing mayhem, you know, and then I eventually laid down.
So they had what you call a skirt straight program. Bring juveniles in there, scare them, tell them shit that'll deter them from getting in trouble. You know, if you come to prison, you're gonna be my boy, all that shit, right? Well, I was the one that can break them all down, make them cry and all this shit, right? So I forgot about all the damage I did in prison before I laid down. You know, the $200 million lawsuit that came against the state and all this stuff, the hatred there, right, towards me. So MSNBC come in and the warden asked me to do a documentary for all the juveniles in America, worldwide. And at that time, like I said, I didn't think I was gonna ever get out of prison. I mean, I'm going on 40, I'm 30-something years in. So I said, fuck it. Maybe I could do a little good to help somebody, right? So I told them, I said, when I do this documentary, I ain't gonna tell them the shit that their parents told them. Stay out of trouble, you end up in prison. They done heard all this shit. This shit don't rest.
Yeah, stay out of trouble, you're gonna end up with a job at Walmart. I guess you only get a job at Walmart if you're a DEI hire.
What I'm gonna tell them is gonna shock their conscience. It's gonna make them think twice before they do shit. It's gonna make them think twice before they take time for somebody else, you know. In this prison, booty. Booty was more important than food. Booty, a man's butt. Oof. So that's why I did it. The documentary, I went on and did a documentary. I had no idea when I did this documentary.
Exactly, I agree with
that I will ever get out of prison. That all these other sites
come out getting it all. No kidding, man.
And take what I did.
Scary, dude.
And put it in a negative light, you know, trying to make me look like I was just a predator.
No.
And like I said,
oh, please, you ain't no predator, man. Come on, guys.
Me, ass is ass. It don't make no difference to me where it comes from.
Jeff hates
you get 30 years in prison, you don't care about where your booty comes from. You tired of jacking off, you tired of looking at smoke magazines. You ready to fuck something. And I was ready.
All right, so that was Face talking out. The next thing is like, homie, like, okay, that was one thing to do a documentary to make sure I save Face and try to save other people. Basically from ending up inside the situation right here. But in the meantime, in between time, he didn't like how he was portrayed on Boondocks because it has a lasting effect on him and it hurts him for getting jobs and shit, man. So check out this right here.
You ever watched your character on Boondocks?
I barely seldom watched that. I watched a little of it, but it aggravated me because it's not my character. It's portraying me as somebody I'm not. Right?
So Fleece is upset, guys, because what ended up happening is this Boondocks cartoon, they stole his likeness and image, and they're making millions off it. I mean, my kids love watching that show, man. Yeah, I admit it. I let them watch the show, man. It's freaking hilarious. I guess I'm a bad dad. But Fleece is not getting cut in on any of the action, and that's because it's a parody. So one of my other shows, I'll teach you guys a little bit about copyright and trademark and the different exceptions and the workarounds. But the bottom line is he got basically shut out of his own persona in a cartoon. He's not getting paid.
I don't have to run up on no motherfucker asking for no booty. It's a known fact. Where I was locked up, I got pussy while I was locked up. Yeah. That'll be another story I'll tell you about. But right now, back to this. No.
You never seen it. You never watched the episode.
I was that fucker that put that shit out. Mm-hmm. I forgot his name.
He's pissed.
I can't stand him right to this day, right?
Yeah.
And he took me and put me in a negative light to try to generate a lot of money.
He sure did.
But what he did is it hurted me because I go up for parole, I cuss him out. Cause I didn't think I was gonna ever get out, so I told him suck my dick, fuck you, fuck Facebook, fuck all you motherfuckers. Kick the chair over, walked out of the parole room. And they told me that same day, you got parole.
The same day you kicked over the table.
Yeah, and cussed them out. They said I had parole.
Oh, it's so good.
I
got you, Jody.
They done took my documentary and done edited it and then put it in the negative light, right?
Well, I would say his documentary was pretty negative the whole time. So, guys, I'm gonna ship out and try to get some chow. I'll probably do a workout video in the morning. I gotta lose all this excess body fat that I put on from blowing out my back. I'm slowly trying to get back in shape. But hopefully you guys understand. We're just having a good time today. And yes, give me a bunch of ones if you think that DEI and affirmative action is racist against white people. Give me a bunch of twos if you think that people who say that it's racist are somehow racist, and that people should be put into positions of authority, power, as well as wealth based upon their qualifications, not based upon being put in the front of the line over more qualified candidates. And if you think that's racist, if you think that someone like me saying that DEI is racist, you're probably the racist because you think that you need to be put in front of the line over someone who's more qualified, which is totally unfair. It goes against the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and your fundamental rights to be treated equally under the law. And that is why people like me stand against it, because I believe that all men were created equal and that we should judge people based upon the content of their character, not their skin or whatever same-sex marriage person they're sleeping with, or some dude that tries to dress up like a woman and pretend like he's a girl, and somehow that should qualify him to participate in female sports. I think that men should stay out of the ladies' room, and all of this cult of the left needs to go, and we need to return back to a semblance of decency where we treat all of our fellow men with respect. And it's okay to joke around and have fun. One of my favorite comedians is Dave Chappelle. I think the guy's awesome. And so I just love having a good time with him. Anyways, Darren Williams, man, I can tell you're hypersensitive about this stuff, and it's unfortunate. But I have no ill will towards you, and I hope that you come and join us more, because I love having differing opinions. I expect my mods to not try and block the guy or blow him out. I think he's a cool dude. I love all humans. I just don't think that the government should play any role in promoting someone who's less qualified over someone else who's more qualified. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Give me a bunch of twos if you're a Marxist Democrat and you think what I said is wrong. But anyways, guys, yeah, Chappelle Show. And Darren's making a lot of dumb comments. First of all, Darren, that assumes facts, not an evidence. It lacks foundation, and it's argumentative. It shows that you're hypersensitive. You need to calm it down, bro. No one here hates you. We love everybody on my show. And as you hang out with me more, you'll understand. I just like to have a good time. I'm in an interracial marriage myself. I got mixed race kids. I just think that people should be promoted based on their qualifications, not based on something that Barack Obama thinks is fair or his husband, Big Mike, thinks is fair. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully we'll go live tomorrow. God bless everybody. And make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper Fi, do or die.